Hey guys, it's Holly. So today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Lego Harry Potter, what's it called? Hogwarts Magical Trunk. Now this set, I'm really interested to sort of take a look at. It basically feels like a huge parts pack. It's something brand new for Harry Potter this year, and honestly, it looks really cool, but for the expensive price point of $60 US and 90 Australian with only 603 pieces, I'm not sure if it's going to be completely justified, especially because a lot of the pieces you're not able to utilize all at once. This honestly to me feels like a combination of sort of like the Hogwarts Moments books from last year and this year, as well as the sort of like Disney Princess Storybook line. If you guys aren't aware, they sort of come with this additional sticker sheet in order for you to customize and decorate your own sort of book thing. And that's a very similar thing here. Like, you do get this additional sort of decorative sticker sheet along with a bunch of minifigure parts or some really cool printed, at least I hope they are printed, and stickered pieces, and I'm really excited to get into this. Now this set was sent to me by Lego through the Lego Ambassador Network, so thank you very much to them, but do keep in mind that all of the opinions on all of these sets are my own. I will be showing you all as well the 4 different variations for each house that you can build, so let's crack this open and have a look. So here is the Hogwarts trunk all built up, and honestly my first impression is that this trunk is tiny. This thing is so much smaller than I imagined. There's also quite a lot of leftover hair pieces and 6 heads that you have left over from building your minifigures, which I personally really enjoy. There's also a pile of pieces from just the decoration of the trunk's color scheme, but the trunk itself is really small. Like, there's less spare pieces than I thought, which makes it really hard, I feel like, to justify the price, but I will talk more about that later. Before we get into the actual trunk, I want to show you off all of these brand new minifigure pieces, as there actually is a brand new head color which I've got on this minifigure right here. Now, our first of the students in this set is in fact Harry Potter, and I'm really glad about this actually because it's amazing to have him in his sort of neutral Hogwarts robes, which is something we just didn't get in last year's 2021 advent calendar. You got Hermione, you got Ron, you got Draco, but one notable exclusion was Harry, but that has now been fulfilled, so I'm personally really happy, even though it means we get another Harry. Then again, at least this is a brand new minifigure combination. Our second minifigure is McGonagall. Now this is the exact same version of her that was featured last year in the Hogwarts Moments sets, and sort of the colorized version of the golden version from the Hogwarts Icon set. And this minifigure is honestly one of my favorite minifigures of all time. I love the detailing. I love how accurate this figure is. So I think it's great that she's appearing in another set. Overall, I think this minifigure of McGonagall is spot on, and it works pretty well with this set. Then again, I would have preferred to have more students instead of a professor, but it makes sense since the Sorting Hat is in this set. Now the last 4 figures are all completely customizable. Now there is 4 different sets of legs, 2 plain black ones and 2 triple molded legs. You also have 2 black troll skirts and a variety of different minifigure heads to pick from. In fact, you have 10 in total, 2 of each skin tone, including a brand new one, and just tons and tons of hair pieces. So this is the first minifigure that I created. I really wanted to take advantage of that bright blue piece, although like I've said several times, I don't understand why it's in this set. Like, these kids are like 11 or 12. If I had blue hair at 11 or 12, my mum would have killed me. She probably would have disowned me, but I do really like that it's a piece included in this set. Now each of the torsos do have a scarf print, which I love. It's really awesome to get scarf prints for Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin, so I'm a big fan of that. And each of them as well have a pair of matching gloves. Now that's all done just because there were so many different head prints and head colors that it was just a really easy cop-out way, and honestly, I'm on board here. I really like these torsos, and I feel like these are one of the best parts about the set, is just all of the different minifigure options. This head in particular does have a pair of glasses, which is really awesome to see because I feel like we just don't get too many glasses prints all that often. So that again is why I really wanted to include it. But on his alternate face, you sort of got his tongue licking up at his eyes instead of another glasses pair, but that's completely fine. The next student I made is this Slytherin one, which you can see the black troll skirt in use here, as well as those triple molded legs in order to sort of give the stocking and feet approach. I love the use of the troll skirts here. I think they work incredibly well, and I would love to see them brought back and used more often. Now this minifigure as well does have the brand new head color. It's like this weird mix of sort of, I guess, like a tan as well as a brown. Like, it's a really nice shade, and I would love to see this appear more in other sets. pets. And for her hair, I've given her those two sort of space buns that honestly remind me a lot of Rose Granger Weasley, who I guess is a character you could actually make out of all of these parts due to her pieces and the different robes and all of that. So that is pretty fun. Now this head imprint in particular has a really happy smile on one side as well as this really sort of confused face on the other. Honestly, I feel like this would be perfect to stick in like a potions classroom because that is personally how I would feel in that class. Next up is my Ravenclaw student who I've just given the plain black legs. This one in particular as well has got that T'Challa hairpiece that was first featured in the Marvel CMF. And for the face, it's this really happy, super cheesy sort of grin. And then the alternate face is again more shocked. This is honestly how I would feel if I was sent to the Forbidden Forest for detention, like seemingly everyone is at Hogwarts for some reason. And the last minifigure before I go through and show you all of the other faces and hair pieces is my Hufflepuff student who again has that troll skirt and the double molded legs. And this is actually the Violet Parr hairpiece from The Incredibles, just redone in all black. I think it would work really well for Cho Chang, so I'm interested to see if they're going to use that in the future. And this head has some nice freckles, another sort of cheesy maniacal grin, and a more sad face on the other side. I think this has to be one of my favorite heads that is included in this set. I absolutely love it. Then aside from Harry's hairpiece and Professor McGonagall, you also get 16 different hairpieces. Quite a lot of ones that we've already seen before, but there is a really large variety here, which I think is absolutely awesome. And to showcase them to you all, I thought I would model them on good old Harry Potter. First up is the Colin Creevey hairpiece, then's the Draco Malfoy hair, the good old blonde ponytail, Hermione's hair, the brown spiky hair, the Kevin McAllister, the signature Ginny Weasley, sideswept ginger, or as I like to call bloody hell, the Marvel T'Challa hair, older Harry, curly space buns, this dark brown braid, this bright blue ponytail, which I'm not honestly too sure why it's in this set, another bright blue hairpiece, which I think is from Everyone is Awesome, this pink bun because apparently everyone was messing around with hair dye, and lastly the Violet Parr piece from The Incredibles, but this time without the printed headband. This set also includes one of each sort of the standard one colors, that being the tan, the dark orange, the reddish brown, the dark brown, and the black. So before we take a look at the trunk, I do want to show off some of the little side builds. The first being this really nice sand blue owl, which has these gray stud and a gray clip at the bottom in order to carry this little letter. I think it looks really cute, and this piece is also used in the Hospital Wings set, but it's really nice to get an additional one, especially since the only other variation we have of the owl with the open wings is the gold one from the Chamber of Secrets set, as well as Flying Hedwig. Continuing on as well from last year, you do get a chocolate frog card in this set. There are no new chocolate frog cards, so if you're like me and you've collected them all, there's really nothing too special here. In my box though, I did get Madame Maxine. And lastly is the key to actually open up the trunk. It's made with one of these sort of like dots keys. I also think that these were in the Disney Princess storybooks, complete with a little keychain and this brick-built key ring made using a life preserver as well as some studs and this really nice stickered printed round 3x3. So here's the trunk all on its own. Now this does come with 4 different color variations that you can do representing each of the houses. I've just left mine in Gryffindor, but I will rebuild these all for you in a second to show you all. I personally chose Gryffindor. I mean, it is my home house, but I also think that the golden and sort of red match really nicely with the rest of the trunk's color scheme. Now in order to do this, you get a variety of additional pieces that are sort of just extra and spare, and this is where I feel like some of the price issues come along with this product because you get all of these extra. The yellow is also used for Hufflepuff, which is why there's only black here. And then the green, and the gray and the blue are for Slytherin and Ravenclaw. So I really like the way that you can decorate the trunk. I think it looks really cool. There's a variety of different options you can do. It sort of reminds me of Lego dots as well. However, it's only the front portion. I thought that you were going to be able to decorate the top as well. However, that is all tiled off using these like dark orange pieces along with the red sort of straps. Even on the side, nothing decorative there. You have the back, which is all stickered and definitely not the most attractive thing ever. And then on the other side, you have another handle with more stickers. So it really is only this front panel. Now you can do this with your fingernails, trying to rip all of the pieces off. I found it easier to sort of take off the brown bits as well in order to pick them up, but I would recommend a brick separator as well if you do want to change out the colors. However, warning, it is pretty difficult and time consuming, but let me show you the color combinations. So the first color I wanted to show you is the Hufflepuff combination. Now there are a variety of sort of different methods that you can place all of these, but for the general gist, you need these corner pieces on either the left or the right in order to sort of surround around the little clips here, then these flat 1x2s in its center part, and then you're all good to create whatever combination you want. You could sort of have the stripes going sideways. I personally like them vertically just because I think it matches the brown straps, but as you can see, the coloring only goes around the front. None of it goes on the top. This top stays exactly the same, and it's what sort of annoys me about this case. I mean, besides just the tiny size of it, it does look a bit awkward. I mean, if you were to display it and put stuff on top of it and just stack things, I feel like it would work pretty well, but if you just wanted to have the case on its own, it does look a tiny bit awkward. But next up, let's take a look at Slytherin. I'm a really big fan of the sort of grey and green Slytherin colour scheme. I think this one, so far at least, has to be my favourite, mainly because I don't think it particularly ties in with any other part of the trunk. Like, I think Hufflepuff works really well in terms of colour scheme, but I don't know, something about just how much this stands out looks really nice. And lastly, we have Ravenclaw, and this looks nice, but I don't know, I honestly prefer the green to the blue. It would have been really cool, though, if all of these sort of had like the darker version of the colors, like dark blue here, dark green for Slytherin, dark red for Gryffindor. I honestly feel like that would have looked really cool. They're all a tiny bit bright to me, but let's go back to Gryffindor and continue on. So now that you've seen all of the colors, let's talk more about this trunk. Firstly, this thing is incredibly skinny. It is a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. I mean, from the front, it looks amazing. From a slight angle, it looks amazing. I really like these tiled off pieces. I'm pretty sure this is actually a new element as well to create the top, though I wish that this could have been customized as well. I understand how it works in terms of building, but it would have been quite nice. On the other side as well, it's just all built up with plates, which is unfortunate, but then again, I don't really expect the bottom to have a slicked off design. The stickered panels on the sides and the way that the handles are built, I'm a really big fan of though. I like these, and there's actually 2 sets of them, so I am planning on actually writing my name on one set and then having a fresh one nice and clean ready to go. The handles are made using a bunch of these dark metallic gray silver tubing pieces, which look really good, and they can move around, so you can grab it by the sides if you really want to and actually make it look like a Hogwarts trunk. But when you turn this thing around to the back, it suddenly doesn't look so pretty anymore. You just have a bunch of exposed panels and things like that. There's some nice stickered pieces, don't get me wrong, but we'll have a better look at that once I open it up. But when the trunk is closed, it's really not all that pretty. Now this trunk can actually lock. You can stick this little key into the middle here and twist it 90 degrees to the right, and then you can no longer open it up, which makes it really easy for portability if you want to move it around. If you're a kid that wants to take this on a vacation and go and play with it, you can keep everything nice and neat, and then stick the key back on, twist it to the left, and suddenly you can open it up and play with it. So in the instructions, LEGO do sort of tell you a bunch of different rooms that you can build using all of the variety of parts in here. You get a selection of banners that you can pick from, each representing a different house. Then in the center there are 4 different sections, 2 of which are these little bookcases with a variety of different stuff on the inside. You have a fireplace as well as the house tally point cup system thing, which I personally feel like this build could have been better. Once you've emptied all of that out, you have quite a bit of space. There's not too much stud space, as half of it is actually built out of a dark tan Lego City road plate, which I didn't think was going to be a piece. I also reckon that's probably one of the other reasons why this set is so expensive, because those road plates really hike up the price of Lego City sets. Now, once this trunk is all emptied out, you can sort of see what I mean at the back. It just suddenly becomes very hollow. I mean, part of me thinks that this would be kind of cool in order to just create a scene that's sort of built out and like can be seen from the back. Like you sort of have the trunk here like this, and then turn it around and you've got this little room or a little moment or a scene or something like that. But that's something I'll probably test out and try and modify and mock later. So in the instruction manual, after they sort of teach you how to piece it all together, it then gives you 3 different building options of things to choose from. The first up is the sorting ceremony, next is the Great Hall, sort of resembling the welcoming feast, and then you have each of the common rooms that are all done in the 4 different color schemes. So to start off with, let's build and take a look at the sorting ceremony. So here's the design for the sorting ceremony, and honestly I feel like this has to be the most basic and probably simple of all four of them. So the panels are each clipped on the sides here with this sort of candle showing to sort of represent the Great Hall. You've got the fireplace at the back, which is all stuck on the locking mechanism, which I think worked quite well. You're sort of utilizing that empty space. You've got this sort of cabinets facing the back in order to expose those candle stickers and make it really feel like the Great Hall. On the left as well, you have the little point system build, which I would have really loved to see some gold pieces used here instead of the gray. This doesn't actually attach to any studs. You can just slide it in that gap here. In the center though, you can actually place this tiny little stool for the students to sit on. I mean, you can attach it to either of the studs here if you really wanted to as well. And then give Harry the little sorting hat and place him up there. And there you go. There's the sorting ceremony. It's pretty basic, pretty bare. I don't think you'd get a lot of play out of this one in particular, but it's nice that there is sort of three different options, I guess. Then here is the Great Hall build. Again, I mean, I feel like it is quite bare. There's a lot more to do here though because of the giant sort of benches that you've got. You were supposed to as well rebuild this purple couch, which then leaves you with these two pieces spare. It also tells you to build the little chess table, though in the instructions it's not really positioned anywhere, so I guess I'd sort of plop it there, and then all of the students can stand up around. I've sort of shoved McGonagall in the back corner. I mean, if you really wanted to as well, you could put the house point system at the back as well, just to sort of decorate it up a tiny bit. I really like the stickers though of the banners with the house colors. I think these stickers look really good. I much prefer them to the alternative side. There is one for each house as well. And then on the other side, you can have a better look at Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw. Now the two benches do come with alternating foods. You've got some cookies on this one, as well as a teacup and some other little biscuits. These ones sort of remind me of the British snack Jammy Dodgers. You get two goblets, and then on the left hand side, you've got some ice cream, another teacup, a croissant, and some goblets. Now underneath you can see a variety of different colors. These ones are actually used for the common room builds. They just sort of stack them under the benches in order to make this thing nice and neat and compact. And lastly is the common room, and this by far is definitely my favorite out of the three options. I feel like there's the most going on. However, there's also a lot of things that are loose, like this cabinet isn't attached to any studs, this isn't attached to any studs, neither is this trunk or this table or this couch. It's really only the fireplace and the bed and this tiny stool here, which isn't too bad, but if you're really playing with it, like things might rattle around, it might be kind of frustrating. But I overall like the design. It's not completely accurate to anything in the movie, but it's a really fun play set. It sort of shows off a lot of the really cool sort of printed and stickered pieces that you get, which I really appreciate. Though after going through all of these, it's made me realize, I think, why this trunk is such a letdown for me, and that is that there are just so many extra pieces lying around all the time. Now, by doing just the common room builds, these are all of the pieces you have left over, and I feel like this is why this set doesn't seem all too appealing. I mean, if you're throwing all of them in for storage purposes, it feels like it's a bit more full, but with each of the builds, and this common room one definitely uses the most amount of parts, there is just tons of stuff left over. I love all of these new printed pieces. I love all of the references. I love the Marauder's map, the Quibbler and all of that. All of the students and the skin tones look fantastic. But it just feels really underwhelming because I look at the set that I've built and it feels tiny. And all of that is because half the parts are just sort of lying around spare. You can't use everything at once. It's probably going to be quite hard as well to keep track of all of these additional pieces if you are a kid playing with this. But I did want to mention that because these builds do not utilize a lot of the parts. But the big pile of parts aside, there are some pretty neat builds in this one. Starting off with this purple couch. You can fit two minifigures here, although considering they've all got short legs, it does feel kind of awkward that they'd be standing on a couch, but at least you can stick them on there. There's also space as well for this to be attached to some studs with these feet, and as you can see, there's the little chessboard for one of the alternate builds right at the bottom there. The next build is this tiny bookshelf made with a bunch of different colored books, which all funnily enough resembled the 4 different houses, which I thought was pretty neat. You've also got this little globe here with the golden snitch, as well as a tiny snow globe on the bottom shelf. This is all built as well on the back end of the point scoring system. Moving along, and we've got a golden version of these new trunk pieces, which I've just stuck the advanced potion making in here, which this book actually does contain that potions printed tile, which I'm really glad of. I love that piece. Now this trunk looks really cool. I mean, I personally prefer the brown ones. Like, I feel like no one actually walks around Hogwarts with a golden trunk. Like, how rich are these wizards? But I do love the fact that there are two studs on the top that you can stick things with, and it's got that sort of more flat look, which in a set like this where you need all of the space to sort of store everything, I think works really well. Moving along, and you also get this little table build complete with a cauldron, as well as the brand new printed Bertie Bott's piece, which personally is one of my favorite things about this set. I love the way that this piece looks. It looks adorable. I do wish though that it was printed on all four sides, or at least two of them, but I get why that's not the case, and honestly, I'm just glad that we finally have this piece in Lego form. Also on this table, you get another one of those acid pop minifigure head pieces, as well as some polyjuice potion. Now these aren't technically supposed to be placed in the common room builds, but I did want to show you these two brand new printed towels. The first one is a Marauders map piece, which looks incredible. I love how accurate this is. I do wish though that these black lines were actually more of a dark tan. I just feel like the black is a tiny bit jarring on the map, but I'm really impressed with this map piece. I think it's spectacular. It's going to look really good with the other versions of the Marauders map we have. I also think this is a lot more accurate than that 2x2 that was in the Series 2 CMF. The Quibbler as well is a brand new piece, and it does look pretty much the same, I'd say, as the one from the original Harry Potter CMF series. It's printed on the same piece, however, this time around the piece is actually white, and overall I really like it. It doesn't really suit with the year group, I guess, of this set, but I'm glad it's included in the set. Next up is the tiny build for the bed. Now this is actually made out of those sort of Great Hall dining tables. Now underneath it where those colors were, you use those to make the design of the bed sheet. So you can make this in any house color you want, and you can just swap them out and stick them on there. You take these little slope pieces as well out of the golden trunk in order to make it. So it's pretty neat, though if you were gonna switch around between the different scenes, you would need the instructions on hand, because I feel like it would be quite difficult to remember how to build and then unbuild all of these different models here. Now this set too does include two of these different cabinets, which each have a different candle sticker at the back. Now when you're sort of stacking this all together to harvest all of the pieces inside the chest, it does say to store some things inside the cabinets. It is kind of hard though, because these doors swing open pretty easily, like they're on pretty flimsy hinges, but I really like the model of them, and these are used pretty well, honestly, in the design of the set. And then the last real piece you get to this set is the fireplace, which I think definitely has to be my favorite little micro build. I think this looks really good. I can see this being incorporated very easily into other Hogwarts mocks as well. Like you could literally just stick it in as is and you're good to go. I really love this stickered piece on the angled slope. I think that looks great. You've got the candles at the top as well as the fire, some masonry bricks at the back, and it just looks incredibly clean overall, and I'm really glad with how this turned out. So that is the Hogwarts magical trunk, and I've got some very mixed opinions on this. Firstly, I completely agree with everyone saying that this is overpriced. If I paid $90 for this and this is what I got, I would feel incredibly disappointed. I just don't think that the value is there. If I was a kid, maybe it's a bit different. I feel like there is a lot of play potential with this. I loved the little things that folded up that you could shove a bunch of toys in. I mean, I used to play with Polly Pockets and things like that, and I know Playmobil did a very similar line to this, and I get what Lego was trying to do with this set, but I just don't think it quite landed. The best parts about this set are definitely all of the printed elements and the stickered pieces. I love these panels here. I love the little Hogwarts crest on the key. I think it's adorable. The Bertie Bott's beans, getting more acid pops. A lot of the stickers are really nice, including the additional decorative sticker sheet that I haven't even touched. I mean, I can see myself using that on other things and not the Lego set itself, but I just think that value for money wise, this set is not it. I don't think that you should get this if you're an adult collector. I don't even think that this is going to be worth it for a parts pack to part out. The best part about this set is by far the minifigures, the head pieces, the torsos, the different hair pieces. There is so much value with that stuff, but them alone cannot sell this set. I think the design of the trunk is too small. It looks very good from the front, and I love that, and I could see myself incorporating that into a display, but is that enough for you to purchase this set? I don't think so, unfortunately. So I'm glad that we are getting sort of unique and original sets, but I just think that this one, unfortunately, was a lesson. Probably don't make something like this again. I feel like the Hogwarts Moments books were a much more refined version of this. It just sort of seems like a branch off of that sort of sub-theme here, but didn't work quite as well. But let me know your thoughts on this set and just sort of this whole concept in general. What do you think? Are you planning on getting it? Do you still plan on buying it? Has your mind changed? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel down below. And until next time, I'll see you later.